Hey guys, Tom here. This is going to be a quick one, but I have an actual drift related update that I'm going to be recording with the assistance of Lily right here. So, first Florida event is in the books and it was awesome. I went to Black Friday Drift at OSW, and I'm not going to waste too much time talking about the event as a whole. Just take my word for it, it was awesome. And one of my favorite parts about it was that I had no clue about this, but they have comps there, like top 32 comps at the 3 day events. And they're free to participate, so naturally, even though I wasn't ready for comp, well, the Mustang wasn't. I didn't bring any tires, and I just wanted to shake down the new tune and mostly party in the blue car for funsies. But here we are, entering again in the party car into a comp. And yeah, I wanted to show you guys how that went because it was actually pretty darn awesome. So, first car I'm up against in top 32 was a G35 with a twin turbo Chevy in it. And I don't know much about the specs of this car. I just know it was one of the wildest looking things I've ever seen. Like, people always make fun of no bumper bash bar type cars, and this one, like, this was the icing on the bash bar cake. This thing looked like a freight train. You'll see in a second. So, oddly enough, the first battle I'm up against in top 32 was also the first guy I ever talked to at OSW, because him and I were in line right behind each other at the gate. So, yeah. Alright, here we go. Light is red, we take off. Seems kind of like he misses his 1-2 shift. Then he initiates, and you're supposed to run that wide. There were no inner clips, and you can see how close we got to those cones. Then he transitions, and I stay on the correct line for the chase and still be able to gain proximity, which I was surprised by, to be honest. We go through the Manji, he ran that tighter than I anticipated, and then here is where it gets a little dicey. Yeah, like, no contact, no boo-boos, I didn't come out adrift, but that was a little sketch. So I'm sure the judges dinged him quite a bit for that lead. But that was the first run. So that was my chase in top 32. And after the chase, of course, we'll check out the lead. So now I am leading the root beer freight train, and I'm initiating wide out on the wall, taking a decently wide line. When you look at him chasing, get a pretty good sense of that we're wider out there, not by the cones. Then here, I'm trying to carry it over towards the grass, and you can see that I'm putting a pretty good gap on him. I ran the inner clip, the Manji, the way that I thought the judges wanted it, and you can see that he's quite a ways back there. Also carrying it wide on the post-Manji turn, and then about, I wouldn't say deep, but like nice midline through the final turn. So, long story short, judges voted in my favor on this one, and I'm pretty sure it was like mostly a lead to lead, his lead line just wasn't that spectacular, right? It's just how it is. So, after top 32, we go into top 16. And when I was walking through the pits, of course not knowing hardly anyone there, there was a guy, Merrick, I think his first name is Merrick, like Eric with an M. And he's got an FRS with a yellow hood, and it's a white car. And he actually recognized me because he likes my suspension videos for the 8.6s. And so he was in B group at the time. We got to talking. He went for ride-alongs with me. And, he seems like a really cool dude. And he actually got bumped to A group at this event, so good for you. And he tandemed and all that, and he also entered the comp. And it just so happened that in top 16, I'm up against like the second person I actually interfaced with at this event. So it's funny how that works out. So in this one also, I get to chase first. So let's check that out. Okay, the light is on, and we leave. And he's scooting. It's already coming out of the gate sideways, almost taps that wall, so decent. And here, though, you can see there was a pretty big correction in his lead. And then because of that, he had to initiate too tight of a line for that second turn. Then he sauces it pretty good through the Manji, but then here he comes completely out of drift. And I managed to stay in drift behind him and try to collect myself back there and somehow put a chase together. Final turn looked really good on his lead, but between the two corrections in the first turn, And in that final turn, I don't think that the judges were big fans of that. So I think on the live stream they said that they considered me to have the advantage after his lead, if memory serves. And that brings me up to another good thing. I hope I don't forget, but I'll try to put the live stream link in the description so you guys can watch it. It was an awesome comp. It was really fun, so you should check it out. And my battery died after my chase on Merrick. So for my lead, I'm actually going to resort to stealing it from the live stream. So let's check out the lead. Alright, off we go. I also initiate out by the wall, but not as aggressive as him. My line was initially not as deep as his, but then there was no correction. I just stayed smooth, and I carried it wider out to the grass in this part, I think. Manji was also nice, and then here, way late with my transition to try and aim for those barricades there. We were supposed to not get to the barricades, we were supposed to get close to the cones, but not touch the cones. That's how it was explained in driver's meeting. And that's what I tried to do in the lead. So with my lead having like no obvious mistakes and the line was okay, him having some pretty significant mistakes in his lead, I ended up getting the win on that also. So that brings us to top 8. And top 8 was interesting because I was out there in the FA20 on 235 Kendas, and the bracket worked out that I had to battle the guy that actually ended up placing second overall in the comp. So you can see where this is going. I got dusted pretty hard. So yeah, he was in a C6 Corvette LS2 on 285s, and we were chatting in the pits. Super nice dude, super good driver. And I didn't really have my hopes up very high that I was going to be able to win this. But in hindsight, I'm actually pretty happy with how the runs turned out because I had to make a lot of sacrifices in the chase to keep up. But I think my lead was pretty decent. And now reviewing the footage after the fact, I was pretty happy with the pace at which my lead was running and that he actually had to work for it, to get into proximity. So let's check that out. Like I said, in this battle, I get to lead first. So lights are on and we're off. And I'm just trying to do the same thing I've been doing all day. He comes in behind me. Really nice lead line. He's not chopping it there, as you can see. He's in the spot he needs to be, about like a car and a half back. Here it's probably like 2 cars. I was really trying my best to make this a wide lead. And you can see like here, I'm getting pretty much to the grass. But he's on a good line, and he was closing in there under D-cell, flicking it around into the last turn, and he again gets to like within a car, just like a little bit of that, and again was all the way out on the wall, the green wall, not those barricades we were supposed to stay away from. So I felt really good about that lead, and was curious, what was going to happen when I have to chase this monster. So let's check that out. Okay. He's on the inside line, and we have red, which ironically means go. You can see that his tires must be pretty sketchy already, because on the 1-2 shift was already slipping. And he's running the widest line I had seen, basically all event. I didn't realize that we were supposed to go that wide, but he did, and it was fun to chase, and I'm like a car and a half behind him there. Until we get to the Manji, then I just can't do the wheel speed that's needed to get to proximity there. So that's where I have to start making sacrifices to have a somewhat decent run. And yeah, finish about a car and a half. Is what it is, definitely a blast. I mean, this was some of the most fun I've had in a while, and the comp was really cool, really laid back. I really enjoyed it. And to be able to duke it out with that kind of caliber of car in your party car and, put down a pretty decent show, I think, for the spectators and everybody, it felt good. It was really fun. And I told him in the grid, it's like, there's no shame. I kind of told him that he really needs to make sure he wins this, because there's no shame in losing to a Corvette, but there's a lot of shame in losing to a 4-cylinder. But yeah, that wasn't a problem for him. He managed to get the win, and yeah, it was great. Glad I went. So I might put out a little more content about Black Friday Drift. depending on how I feel like it and how much time I find to like edit all the 360 footage. But I wanted to show you how the comp went, so there's that. Thanks, guys.